I'm Krystle. I've loved dolls my whole life. I collect everything from porcelain to cloth, American Girl, neonates, and real care dolls. But my favorite is to collect and make reborn dolls. There's Chloe, Grace, Jeremy, Maya, Yuki, Savannah, Zoe, Haley, Landon, Maisie, and Joshua. It isn't easy keeping up with my collection, but it sure is a lot of fun. Hi guys, I'm here to do Twin Tuesday with Maisie, and I can't remember who Nicole's dressing, who we're twinning with. I think it might be Macy, but I can't remember what size, because I sent this outfit to Nicole for Christmas, and I can't remember if I got her the 3 to 6 size for Macy, or if I got it in a newborn size. I don't remember. I have a feeling I got it for Macy. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. So this is, it's a Child of Mine by Carter's, so it's from Walmart. And it is this cute winter romper. It's made out of fleece. And it's sort of like a cross between a light blue and a light turquoise color. And it has white hearts all over it. And then it's got this cute llama on it down in the corner. And he's all like fuzzy and white. And then it has the little saddle or rug or whatever you call it on the back. And it is pink. So I thought I'd pair it with these pink llama socks that Nicole sent me a while back. So they're light pink and they have white accents, and then it's got this white llama right on the foot. Now it's not the same color pink as in the rug on the llama. I didn't have anything that was that pink. It's kind of like a dusty rose pink. But I thought, hey, whatever, like pink is pink. And I think the light pink, oh, sorry guys, hold on. Riley needs help getting up on the couch. You okay, buddy? Try again. Here, honey. Come on. Go up. Go up. Come on. There you go. There you go, baby. You want to go in your sleeping bag? Come on. There you go. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Sometimes he'll try to jump up on the couch and he misses because with his vision gone now, he can't sometimes he can't judge the depth or the height. So sometimes he needs help. But yeah, I just thought the light pink looked cute with this bluish color anyway. And then I got a light pink head wrap to go with it. And I decided to go all out for accessories because I have so many accessories that I just never think to use half the time. I don't know why. I have all these great accessories. So I pulled out my llama pacifier clip. It's turquoise with llamas all over it. And then this llama pacifier that Nicole got me. And all the colors really fit well together because it's got that turquoise blue. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change her. And I'm trying to think what I wanted to talk to you guys about while I'm changing her. I guess I'll just have a chat of what's been going on. So, I have a little bit of good news and a little bit of bad news. First off, I guess I'll start with the not so good news and end sort of on a positive note if I can. Yeah, Maisie's still in her Christmas jammies from Christmas morning when she was twinning with me. Okay, so where do I start? Okay, so yesterday morning, my grandma on my mom's side was rushed to the hospital. I'm quite worried because we're not hearing a lot of information. And of course, with stupid COVID, no one can be at the hospital with her, which is really super frustrating. So basically what happened is I got an email from my mom, or a message from my mom, on Saturday, I think it was. I think it was Saturday. And my mom was saying that she had called my grandma and had a really weird conversation with her. She just said something seemed off. Now, my grandma's memory has really gone south since COVID. I feel like I understand. It's so hard. I understand that they want to protect the seniors from the virus. I get that. But at what cost? What other cost? Because personally, I feel like it's had a real negative impact on my grandma mentally. Because she is in her little room. It's just like a little tiny room with a bed and her TV and her dresser and a bathroom. And she just, all she does is sit there and either watches TV or falls asleep all day. And she's not getting the mental stimulation that she needs. Okay? Her memory was already getting bad pre-COVID, but now that there's literally no visitors, no mental stimulation, and, you know, anytime there happens to be a staff member or a resident that tests positive for COVID, then they go into total lockdown where they can't even leave their room to go for meals. Like, their meals end up being delivered to their room, and they, for 2 weeks, cannot even go outside for fresh air or anything. And so my grandma's like cognitive functions have really declined in this past year, and I blame all of the lockdowns and stuff, and it really, really upsets me. It was very hard to see her on Christmas Day when we Skyped, because it just, I just saw such a drastic change in her, and it was very difficult. So what else? Okay, so basically sometimes you have a conversation with her and she has a good day where she's more cognitive, and then there's other days where she will ask you the same thing like 5 times in a 10-minute period, and you just have to keep repeating yourself. And so it's like hit and miss. Some days are good, some days are really bad. Overall, she keeps forgetting about the virus, and so she doesn't understand what's going on half the time. She doesn't understand why she has to stay in her room. Sometimes she thinks that she's in trouble and that they're punishing her to keep her in her room, and we have to keep explaining to her it's because of the virus and this and that. Now, she did have the COVID vaccine. I think it was the first or second week of January, I believe it was, that she had the COVID vaccine. Now, here's something that really pisses us off as well. Excuse my language, but it pisses us off. Is her building. At the beginning of this pandemic, her building was really diligent and was doing a really great job at keeping COVID out of the building. Then all of a sudden, they were approached by the local hospital to, the hospital approached them and said, hey, we noticed that you have a bunch of vacancies. And because I think at the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of families decided to pull their family member out of residency and bring them into their home to care for them themselves, because they wanted to have control over exposure and things like that. So they, you know, obviously they had, and also like pre-COVID, like they had a lot of deaths, and not COVID related deaths, but just like, you know, it's elderly people, they die. So they had a lot of vacancies, and they were approached by the local hospital saying, hey, we would like to rent out a floor in your building so that we can transfer some of our long-term care patients out of the hospital and into your building, so that we have the space in case we become overrun with COVID patients. And they didn't want to like not have room for them. So my grandma's resident, being apparently very greedy and money hungry, agreed to rent out this floor. Now, with that said, there were still some residents living on this particular floor. And so what they did, without any real notification to families or resident members, they just said, hey, you're moving. And they moved them from their unit into another unit on a different floor, which I was so, that just made me so mad. Now, thankfully, my grandma didn't have to move because she wasn't living on that floor. But there was like a gentleman who had a room with a beautiful view from his window, and was then moved into a room similar to my grandma's, where my grandma doesn't have anything to look out of her window to. Her window literally faces a wall, and she can't even look outside to see what the weather is like. She doesn't get sunshine or natural light coming in her window because it faces a wall. And so this man went from having a beautiful view in his room to, you know, being able to see people walking by and everything like that. And now he also faces a wall. So needless to say, there was a lot of ticked off family members and people wanting to pull their family members out and all kinds of things. They were not happy about this. And her building was like, don't worry, you know, our residents will not be allowed anywhere near this floor where the hospital patients are, and the hospital staff will be dealing with the hospital patients. Our staff will not be dealing with them, so there will be no contact happening, and these patients that are coming in are not COVID patients, so everything is safe and good. Well, I'm telling you, it seems like ever since this transpired, there has been periodic COVID outbreaks in my grandma's residence. And it usually all starts with a staff member testing positive. And then what happens is when a staff member tests positive, then the whole building has to go into shutdown for 2 weeks, where the residents can't leave their rooms, the meals have to be delivered, and then all the residents and all the staff have to be tested, and they have to be tested like 2 or 3 times before they're cleared of not having COVID, and it's just an endless cycle since then. Well, last week, just right after everyone got the COVID vaccine, they had an outbreak on the hospital floor. They said that the entire floor was infected, I believe is what they said. So naturally, what happened? Everyone had to be quarantined again, and everyone had to be tested like 3 times. And my grandmother's test came back negative. I believe she got her test back this past Wednesday, and it came back negative. And I believe that was her second test ever since this outbreak happened. And it was negative. So we were like, okay, that's good. That made us feel good. That, it was negative and whatever. But apparently, I think it was like 2 staff members and 3 residents came back positive. So they're quarantined for 14 days, whatever. So anyways, my mom had this phone conversation with my grandma on Saturday. And she says, my grandma was so out of it that it was to the point that my mom got the impression that my grandmother was now hallucinating. And because she was saying to my mom something about, oh, someone came by and brought baby squirrels to visit, and just all these weird things that she was saying to my mom. And my mom's like, what? Like, what is she talking about? And then, my grandma was saying that she was wanting ice water and no one was bringing it to her, and all these weird things. So my mom called the staff to ask what's going on, and she said, can you please bring ice water to my mother? And they let my mom know that my grandma hadn't been eating that much the past couple of days. She said that her stomach felt weird, but other than that, she seemed fine. Well, yesterday morning, well, I'm filming this on Monday, so Sunday morning, they went in to give my grandmother, I guess, her medication and deliver her breakfast. And they found her in the bathroom just staring at the wall. And they were like, are you okay? Is everything all right? And she just was out of it. And they said she just looked pale. Her breathing wasn't good because my grandmother also has COPD. She was in the hospital like 2 years ago because of her COPD, and that's when they started her on oxygen. But the thing is that we know that a lot of times when she's by herself, she doesn't use her oxygen. And our concern has been with all this COVID stuff, are the staff really checking in properly on the residents? Because in my mind, I'm thinking they're wanting to keep the seniors safe and reduce exposure. So my concern has been, are they just going in to give them their medication and meals and that's it? And they're not really like monitoring other things. So they said her breathing was really bad. She had a fever. Her lips were all dry. She was totally out of it. So she ended up being rushed to the ER, and ends up that the hospital she went to is the same hospital that's renting out the floor in her building, which is also the same hospital that she stayed at 2 years ago. And it is a horrible hospital. Like, we absolutely hated it when she was in there. My uncle was there a lot with her and felt that she wasn't getting like appropriate care, and the hospital was just like really run down, and like we just don't like that hospital at all. But unfortunately here in Toronto, when an ambulance is called, they just take you to the closest hospital that has openings, and it just happens to be this hospital, so there's really nothing you can do about it. Whereas like if you were to drive yourself to the ER, you can choose whatever hospital you want to go to. So, anyway, so she got there, and of course they tested her for COVID again. They tested her for pneumonia. They gave like some chest x-rays and stuff. And they ran a whole bunch of blood work. And that's basically the last thing we heard. So this morning, as of like 6:45 a.m., my grandmother was still in the ER on a stretcher, just waiting for a room. And the only update we have is that her fever is gone. But we don't know if it's COVID. We don't know if it's something else. my aunt just recently got out of the hospital, and she was there for a long time. She was in there like 2 months or 3 months, because she's battling with kidney disease and a whole bunch of other issues. She needs a kidney transplant again. She had a kidney transplant before my cousin passed away from CF, and it's, you know, organ transplant doesn't always last forever. So her body started rejecting the kidney or something to that effect. So she needs another kidney transplant, but she contracted like a sepsis infection and a really bad UTI infection and all these things. And she was in the hospital for a very long time. But she just got out, and she was saying that when she had her really bad UTI, she had hallucinations. And so she's wondering if maybe, you know, because maybe they're not checking in on my grandma properly, maybe she had a UTI that went untreated, and maybe that's what the issue is. The other thing it could possibly be is even just her oxygen levels, because they tested her oxygen levels before they called the ambulance, and her oxygen levels were not good. They were low. And when she was in the hospital 2 years ago, and they had put her on oxygen, when her oxygen levels were really low, she had hallucinations at that time as well, and was very out of it. So that's a possibility as well. So we just don't know right now what the issue is. We don't know if it's just her COPD, or if she has some kind of infection or virus, or if it's COVID, or if it's pneumonia, or what. And apparently, and of course with COVID, no one can be there with her, which is really shitty. And my mom, you know, she's put down as the contact, but no one's really called her. She's had to make the calls herself to the ER. And she said the last time she called, the nurse was really like uncooperative, and just basically was wanting to like rush her off the phone, which is really ridiculous. And it just goes along with what I was saying in my last video. I think I mentioned it, is that I find that ever since COVID has started, healthcare for other things that aren't COVID related have gone down the shitter. Like, to put it bluntly, they have just gone down the toilet. And I've experienced it with my stupid phone appointments. Today I had a breathing test at the hospital because I haven't seen my pulmonary doctor. God, I don't even know when the last time was I saw her. It was probably like January or February 2020, I'm thinking. And then I went for my breathing test in the summer as scheduled, but then they told me, oh, you won't be seeing the doctor though, because A, we're not doing in-office appointments, and B, we can't even do a phone appointment with you because she's on mat leave. Like, I didn't even know my doctor was pregnant, but she was on mat leave. So I'm like, okay, so I never got my lung function test results from the summer, so I don't even know what they were. But now I had to do my other breathing test today, and originally it was scheduled for 12:30 p.m. Last night they called me to do a pre-COVID screening questionnaire thing, and then they asked me if I could come at 12 instead, because they realized the tests that were ordered would take an hour, so they needed me to come at 12. I'm like, that's fine. I get there 5 to 12. And the way that the pulmonary function lab is like, they have this like door, but there's no window on it, so you can't see inside the room. But usually pre-COVID, you just walk in, drop off your health card, and then go wait outside for them to call you. Well, this time it's locked. And, you know, because of COVID, they have it locked. And so I was just told on the phone, knock on the door and then wait for someone to come, and then you can go from there. Well, I knocked on the door, and No one was answering. And it sounded really quiet in there. Like I put my ear up to the door. I couldn't hear anything in there. Usually I hear people talking in there. It was dead silent. I knocked on the door about 7 times, each time louder and louder. No one was answering. I'm like, what the hell? What is going on? So I went and I sat down because I'm like, no one's coming. So I went and I sat down on the waiting bench, and at about 10 after 12, one of the technicians came walking out this other door because they have like a little office that's just off of the main testing area. And I'm guessing they were in there and for whatever reason couldn't hear me knocking, even though like I was pounding on the door. So one of them walked out of the door from the office area, and he just looked like he was just leaving, like to go on break or something. And he's like, oh, he's like, are you waiting for an appointment? And I'm like, yes. So he's like, okay, 1 second. So he tells the lady, and then he leaves and he's like, she'll be with you soon. I'm like, okay. Well, by the time she came out and brought me in, it was already almost 12:30. So I got the impression that they did not notify them that the appointment had been changed to 12. Halfway through my breathing test at 12:45, another lady knocks on the door. The technician goes to answer the door, and she goes, I have an appointment for 12:30. Sorry, I'm late. And she goes, oh, well, I'm with my 12:30 appointment right now. And she's like, well, I just drove all the way from Newmarket, which is like a good 40-minute drive from this hospital, maybe even longer, maybe like 45-minute drive. She's like, I just drove from Newmarket, and they called me on Friday to confirm that my appointment was today at 12:30. So the lady's like, okay, 1 second, I have to finish up with this client, with this patient, sorry. And she goes, I will be right with you. So I had to get a puffer, and then you have to kind of sit after you get the puffer, and then you repeat the test after the puffer. So she gives me the puffer. She's like, go wait outside for like 15 minutes, and then I'll call you back in. I'm like, okay. So I go out. She calls the lady in, and then a few minutes later, the lady comes back out and says to the guy that was with her, came with her, she's like, I can't believe this. She goes, the secretary for my doctor royally effed up, and my appointment is tomorrow. And she says they can't do anything to fit me in now. So she says the only thing I can do is go down to the doctor's office, collect a blood work requisition that I need to get done, and get that done today. And then we have to come back tomorrow for my appointment. She was pissed, and I don't blame her. Because why would you want, like, you drove 45 minutes for an appointment that you were told was today. That was their mistake, so they should have taken her, in my opinion. Now she's got to drive all the way back to freaking Newmarket and come back again tomorrow. Like, this is the kind of care that people are getting now with this stupid COVID shit. And I'm livid, and I am so over it. And I understand, but please don't take it the wrong way. I understand that it's a serious virus for some people, but more and more evidence is showing that now the doctors really have a grip on how to treat it, and most people are recovering. The death rate is not as high as it was at the beginning. I've read studies and studies. I've listened to doctors talking about it, scientists talking about it. Even one of our own government sent a letter to our to our Doug Ford, saying like, please end the lockdowns because the evidence doesn't support it anymore. And this is someone in our government saying this. And our own health ministry has admitted that the testing are 50% false positives. So these high caseloads are not accurate. It's not. So I'm just getting frustrated that it's always COVID, COVID, COVID. And there's people that have other health problems that are not getting the appropriate care. This is a big, big, big problem. And I guarantee you, when all of this is said and done, there's going to be a big wave of people with other health issues. And then our healthcare system is going to be completely overwhelmed by that. So I just think I'm just so over it. But I just hope and pray that my grandma's going to be okay. I hope to God she doesn't have COVID. I mean, I think the fact that her fever's already gone is promising. So I just hope and pray that she's going to be okay. And I just hope we can find out information soon, because it's just frustrating that we don't know what's going on. So anyways, this video is getting long. I don't know. I don't think there was really anything else that I had to talk about, except I do have a little bit of good news to end off with. So a couple of days ago, I was contacted by Jay's mom. If you guys remember, Jay was my favorite little guy. Well, I mean, I love all the kids I look after, but this family was very special to me. One of the few families I've worked for that really treated me with respect and really like made me feel like part of their family. And it was just a very, even though I worked with them for a short time frame, you know, like I started with them in February of 2020, worked with them for a month, and then of course everything shut down because of the pandemic. So then I was off of work for, what was it, two months, I think? Yeah, it was like 2 and a bit months. And then I went back to work with them in June and was with them for June, July, and August, and the first week of September. And then they let me go. For those who are new or don't remember, they let me go because they said there was like suddenly a daycare spot that became available at this daycare, and they thought that they were going to be on this wait list for quite a few years before he got in because it was so long. But with the pandemic, so many people pulled out that they all of a sudden had a spot. And it was a daycare that their son needed to be in order to attend a specific school in another school district that they really wanted him to go to. So as hard as it was for them to let me go because they loved me so much, and so did Jay, and they had just had a new baby, C, they wanted me to stay, but they just like, they didn't want to lose their chance at getting this daycare, and I understand. So anyways, so I last saw them, well, I last worked for them September 4th, but we did keep in touch through text and email, and then we also did like a video chat one time, so that was nice. But anyways, they contacted me a few days ago and said, hey, like, we've been thinking about you, and like, I've been hoping to go back because the whole time, like ever since my last day of work with them, like the mom seemed very, very unsure of her decision. And especially as the cases started going up, she was very like starting to get uncomfortable with being in the daycare system. And I just kept thinking that maybe I would end up working with them again. But as it turns out, the dad ended up getting a job offer overseas that he's most likely going to take, and so they most likely will be moving out of Canada altogether, which sucks. But the nice thing is that they contacted me saying, we've been thinking about you, and we'd like to see you again before we go. And they said, we're gonna need some help with childcare while we get the house ready to sell. So I am going to be returning to care for both Jay and his baby brother C, who his baby brother's now like 5 months old. I can't believe it. Like, he was only a couple weeks old when I last saw him, and he's going to be 5 months old now. Jay is going to be turning 2. I can't believe that. So I'm going to be with them for about, I think, 2 to 3 weeks, possibly. And it'll just be like 3 days a week, and they'll be like 5-hour days. So that'll be nice to see them. I'm looking forward to that, but it's going to be sad that, like, it's just sad that it's not a permanent thing and that they're leaving, because I really, really like them. And I really like the area they live in. I was really hoping to, like, return to working there permanently, but it is what it is. But at least I will get to spend some time with them, although it's going to make it, like, I'm probably going to cry again when it's my last day, like I did the last time. I really love this family, and I really love Jay. He's such a sweetheart, and so I'm gonna miss them, but at least I get to see them for a while and spend some time with the baby as well, because I didn't get to spend too much time with him after he was born. Because he was born, like, what was it, a week or 2 before my last day. So he was just a little bitty baby, and I only got to hold him once a couple of days before my last day. So I'm looking forward to that, because I love babies. So yeah, so that's kind of what's going to be happening in the next few weeks. I think I'm starting this Friday, I believe. So there's that. And anyways, this video is getting really long, so I'm not going to tell you any more stories. I do have one story I want to tell you, but I guess I'll save it for another video, because I'm sure it's a transpiring story, so we'll see how it all ends up. But I'll save that for another video. But yeah, please keep my grandmother in your prayers. And here's Miss Maisie. She's twinning with her cousin over on My Reality with Nicole. Link is in the description. And I don't know, can you see it? Isn't this cute? This is so cuddly. She looks so sweet in this. I forgot to mention that the collar, which is quite high with the zipper done up, I could probably put it down a little and pop the collar, but just the inside part of the collar is lined with like a Sherpa material, so it's nice and warm. I hate it because, like, it goes up high on her neck. I don't want the zipper scratching her, so I have to do it all the way up. But there she is. And before we sign off, I'm gonna get her little Precious Moments llama from her auntie Paula. And really, I need to take the tags off of this. This one just goes over its neck, but the other one I have to cut off. But it plays Jesus Loves Me. There she is. So cute. Isn't that cute, guys? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening to my rants. 2021 is not off to a good start. Also, I forgot to mention our dishwasher broke on the weekend as well. We were running it. It was about halfway through the wash cycle, if even that. And all of a sudden it just shut off, and we could smell something burning, and we knew it is kaput. So there's that. Last year we had tons of appliances break down that we had to replace, and it's beginning again. Yay! 2021, guys. It's not looking so good. Okay. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.